The phone buzzed at exactly 3:17 a.m., cutting through the silence like a chainsaw through velvet. I knew it was Vanessa before I even opened my eyes. Nobody else called at this hour unless something was seriously wrong, and my wife had a talent for making everything feel like a crisis. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Derek? Derek, are you there? Her voice was shrill, slurred around the edges. Background noise bled through the speaker, pounding music, laughter, the kind of chaos that costs money we didn't have. I'm here, I said, sitting up in our empty king-sized bed. The sheets on her side were still tucked tight from this morning, or yesterday morning. Time blurred when your wife treated home like a hotel she occasionally remembered existed. My card got declined, the black one, the Visa, everything. I need you to send money right now or we can't leave. We, always we when she was spending, never we when the bills arrived. How much? I asked, though I already knew the answer would make my stomach clench. 2,000, maybe 3, I'm not sure. Just send it. God, this is so embarrassing. Everyone's staring at me. Everyone. Her little entourage of parasites who'd scatter the moment the money dried up. I could picture them now. Lila with her Instagram-ready sympathy face, probably already filming Vanessa's meltdown for her story. The club rats who'd been feeding off my wife's desperation to seem important, to matter in their shallow little world. Ask your dad, I said, and hung up. The phone immediately started buzzing again. I turned it off, rolled over, and went back to sleep. For the first time in months, I slept like a baby. The next morning brought coffee, silence, and a phone call from the Portland Police Department. Mr. Lawson, this is Officer Martinez. Your wife Vanessa Cole was detained last night for attempting to use fraudulent payment methods at Club Azure. She's been released, but there may be charges filed. I took a long sip of coffee, watching rain streak down our kitchen window. Fraudulent how? She tried to use multiple declined cards, then claimed her husband, you, would wire money to cover a substantial tab. When no payment arrived, she became belligerent with staff. The club owner decided to press charges. I see. Is she all right? She's fine, sir. Just wanted to make you aware. After I hung up, I sat in our pristine kitchen, granite countertops Vanessa had insisted we couldn't live without, stainless steel appliances that cost more than most people's cars, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. The front door slammed at 11:30 a.m., followed by the staccato click of expensive heels on hardwood. Vanessa appeared in the kitchen doorway like an avenging angel who'd been dragged through hell backwards. Her black dress was wrinkled, her makeup smeared, and her hair looked like she'd been electrocuted. You set me up, she said, her voice quiet. Good morning to you too, sweetheart. Coffee? Don't you dare. She stepped into the kitchen, her hands shaking with rage. You knew exactly what would happen when you hung up on me. You wanted me to get arrested. I turned to face her fully, leaning against the counter. I wanted to sleep. You called at 3 a.m, demanding money we don't have for a party I wasn't invited to. I made a reasonable decision. Reasonable? Her voice cracked. I was humiliated. Everyone saw me get dragged out by security. Lila filmed the whole thing. Of course she did. That's what friends are for, right? Vanessa's face went white, then red. You're going to fix this. You're going to call that club and explain that there was a misunderstanding. No. The word hung in the air between us like a blade. She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. No, I repeated. I'm not fixing anything. In fact, I'm done enabling this whole charade. I pulled out my phone, opened our banking app, and showed her the screen. Shared accounts frozen. Credit cards canceled. You want to party with other people's money? Find other people? You can't do this. Half of everything is mine. Half of our debt, absolutely. Half of our mortgage, our car payments, our maxed out credit lines. You want your half? It's about negative $40,000. I'll cut you a check. She lunged for my phone. I pulled it away, and she stumbled, catching herself on the kitchen island. This isn't over, she hissed. You're right, I said. It's just getting started. Miles Garrett had been my best friend since college, back when we were both stupid enough to think the world owed us something. Now he was a private investigator with a cynical smile and a talent for finding things people wanted to stay lost. He also made the best coffee in Portland, which was saying something. So let me get this straight, he said, sliding a mug across his desk. Your wife got arrested for trying to party on your dime, and instead of bailing her out, you decided to declare financial war. Something like that. And now you want me to help you figure out where all your money actually went? I nodded. 3 years, Miles. 3 years of girls' nights and networking events and charity functions. I've been writing checks and watching our savings evaporate, and I never asked questions because I trusted her. Trust. Miles leaned back in his chair. Expensive word. The most expensive. He opened a laptop, fingers flying over the keys. Bank statements, credit card bills, phone records. I'll need access to everything. Fair warning. You might not like what I find. I already don't like what I know. What's a little more pain? 2 days later, Miles called me at work. We need to meet. Bring a bottle of something strong. I found him at his office after hours, surrounded by printouts and photos spread across every flat surface. He looked like a man who'd been staring into an abyss and found it staring back. How bad? I asked, setting down a bottle of bourbon. Bad enough that I almost feel sorry for you. He gestured to the papers. Your wife isn't just spending your money, Derek. She's got a whole second life you don't know about. He handed me a stack of credit card statements. Club Azure, that's where she got arrested. She's been there every Tuesday and Friday for 8 months. Always the same pattern. Dinner, drinks, private room rental. Always with the same group. Lila and her crowd? Lila's there, but she's not paying. Look at these receipts. He pointed to highlighted entries. Someone else is picking up the tab for private rooms, top-shelf liquor, even hotel rooms at the Eastland Park. My stomach dropped. Hotel rooms? Gets better, or worse, depending on your perspective. Miles pulled out a manila folder. I ran surveillance Tuesday night. Your wife left Club Azure at 11 p.m. with a man who isn't you. The photographs felt like ice water in my veins. Vanessa, laughing as she climbed into a silver BMW. Vanessa, walking into the Eastland Park hotel lobby. Vanessa, kissing a man I didn't recognize in the elevator as the doors closed. Who is he? Aiden Price. Owns 3 clubs in Portland, including Azure. 42. Divorced. Lives in a penthouse downtown. And according to my sources, he's been very generous with certain married women who catch his attention. I stared at the photos until they blurred. How long? Based on the spending patterns? At least 6 months, maybe longer. The bourbon tasted like ashes. She's been playing house with this guy on my credit cards. That's not even the worst part. Miles pulled out another folder. Your wife's been telling people you're getting divorced. She's been introducing herself as separated at social events. Her Instagram bio says newly single. While living in my house, eating my food, sleeping in my bed. When she sleeps there at all. Derek, I'm sorry. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. I finished my bourbon and stood up. Actually, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. What do you mean? I mean, now I know who I'm fighting. Miles studied my face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Vanessa's been playing games with house money for too long. Time to change the rules. Derek, don't worry. Nothing illegal, nothing violent. But she wants to pretend she's single. She wants to live like she's already divorced. I smiled, and Miles actually leaned back. Let's give her what she wants. Lila Morrison had always been a gossip, but social media had turned her into a professional busybody. Her Instagram stories were a minute-by-minute documentation of every meal, every thought, every perceived slight against her carefully curated existence. She was also Vanessa's best friend, which made her the perfect target. I knew Lila's routine because Vanessa never shut up about it. Tuesday morning yoga, followed by coffee at the trendy place on Exchange Street, then shopping until lunch. She'd be alone, caffeinated, and desperate for drama to share with her followers. I found her at a corner table, phone propped up as she filmed herself drinking something green and expensive. Lila, Derek Lawson, Vanessa's husband. She looked up startled, then quickly ended her recording. Oh, Derek. Hi. I didn't expect to see you here. Mind if I sit? I wanted to thank you. Thank me? She gestured to the empty chair, confusion written across her Botoxed forehead, for being such a good friend to Vanessa during this difficult time. I sat down, signaling the waitress for coffee. I know the separation has been hard on her, and having friends like you makes all the difference. Lila's face went through several expressions at once. The separation? Oh. I let my face fall, as if I'd made a terrible mistake. She hasn't told you yet? I'm sorry, I thought you knew. We've been keeping it quiet, but after what happened at the club the other night... What happened at the club was awful, Lila said quickly. But I didn't realize you two were... It's been coming for months. The financial stress, her new interests. I'm sure you've met Aiden. The coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. Aiden? Price, from Club Azure. Vanessa's been so happy since they started seeing each other. I mean, It's awkward timing with the divorce proceedings, but life is complicated, right? Lila set down her cup with shaking hands. Divorce proceedings? The papers were filed last week. I thought she would have mentioned it. I pulled out my phone and pretended to check messages. She's been so busy with her new life. I guess she forgot to tell her old friends. Her old friends? Well, once the divorce is final and the assets are divided, let's just say Vanessa's social calendar is going to look very different. But I'm sure Aiden will take care of her. He seems like the generous type. I stood up, leaving a 10 on the table. It was good to see you, Lila. Take care of yourself. I was halfway to the door when she called out, Derek, wait. I turned back, eyebrows raised. Is Vanessa really okay? Financially, I mean? Why don't you ask her? I smiled. I'm sure she'll tell you the truth. She always does, right? By the time I got to my car, Lila was already on her phone, speaking in urgent whispers. Phase 1 complete. My phone rang 20 minutes later. Vanessa, screaming. What did you say to Lila? Good morning to you too. I said thank you for being a good friend. She's asking me about divorce papers, about Aiden. What did you tell her? Nothing she didn't already know? Or should have known, if you were being honest with your friends. There are no divorce papers. Yet. The line went quiet. Then, what do you want? I want you to come home tonight. We need to talk. I can't. I have plans. Cancel them. Derek, cancel them, or I'll have Miles deliver copies of those hotel photos to everyone in your contact list. Your choice. She hung up. But at 7 p.m., I heard her key in the front door. She found me in the kitchen, cooking dinner for two. Real food, pasta, salad, garlic bread. The kind of meal we used to share before her life became an endless series of restaurant tabs and room service charges. Smells good, she said carefully. Sit down. She sat, eyeing me like I might explode. I served the food, poured wine, and settled across from her at our dining room table. How long? I asked. How long what? Vanessa. She picked at her pasta. 6 months. Maybe 7. Do you love him? I don't know. Maybe, yes. Good. That makes this easier. She looked up, surprised. I'm not going to fight for you, I said. I'm not going to beg you to choose me or promise to change or pretend this is something we can fix with counseling. What are you saying? I'm saying you can have him, but first you're going to pay for what you've done to me. Her fork clattered to her plate. What does that mean? It means I'm going to take back every dollar you've stolen, every lie you've told, every humiliation you've put me through, and when I'm done, you'll wish you'd been honest from the beginning. You can't. I can. I will. And there's nothing you or your boyfriend can do to stop me. She stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm leaving. No, you're not. Sit down. You can't make me. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. One button, Vanessa. One button, and everyone you know gets to see you and Aiden in that hotel elevator. Your choice. She sat down. Good. Now let's talk about how this is going to work. The charity gala was Vanessa's idea of heaven, an excuse to dress expensively, drink freely, and be seen by everyone who mattered in Portland's social scene. The Children's Hospital fundraiser at the Eastland Park Hotel drew the city's elite like moths to a flame, and my wife had been planning her outfit for weeks. She looked stunning, I had to admit. The black dress probably cost more than most people's rent, and her jewelry caught the ballroom's chandelier light like stars. She worked the room like a professional, air-kissing acquaintances and posing for photos, with the practiced ease of someone who lived for moments like these. I watched from across the room, nursing a whiskey and waiting. She looks happy, Miles said, appearing at my elbow. She should. It's the last time she'll be invited to one of these things. You sure about this plan? Trust me. At exactly 8:30 p.m., Vanessa took the stage to introduce the evening's keynote speaker. She looked radiant under the spotlights, confident and poised as she began her prepared remarks about the importance of supporting children's health care. That's when her phone buzzed. She glanced down at it, still speaking, and her smile faltered for just a moment. Then she looked at the screen more carefully, and her face went white. The photo I'd sent was beautifully composed. Vanessa and Aiden in the hotel bar downstairs, his hand on her thigh, her wedding ring clearly visible as she leaned in to kiss him. Miles had taken it 3 days ago, and the timestamp was unmistakable. Vanessa's voice cracked. She lost her place in the speech, stumbled over a word, then another. The audience began to shift uncomfortably. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo, this one from the hotel elevator. I'm sorry, she said into the microphone. I seem to have... Excuse me. She hurried off the stage, leaving 200 confused guests and one very annoyed event coordinator. I followed her into the hallway, where she stood against the wall, hyperventilating. "You bastard," she whispered when she saw me. "Smile," I said, holding up my phone. "Everyone's watching." And they were. Through the ballroom's glass doors, I could see heads turning, phones coming out, whispered conversations starting. In the age of social media, scandal spread faster than wildfire. "Derek, please." "Please what? Please pretend this never happened? Please let you keep lying to everyone, including yourself? I'll end it. I'll stop seeing him." Too late for that. My phone buzzed with a text from Miles. "Package delivered." Across the ballroom, I could see Lila staring at her phone, her mouth hanging open. Then she showed it to the woman next to her, who gasped and immediately started typing on her own device. "What did you do?" Vanessa asked. I told the truth, something you seem to have forgotten how to do. The photos were spreading through the crowd like a virus. I could track their progress by the shocked faces, the pointing fingers, the phones being passed from person to person. Vanessa's perfect reputation was crumbling in real time. "Ladies and gentlemen," the event coordinator announced over the sound system, "we'll be taking a brief intermission." But nobody moved toward the bar or the silent auction tables. They were all too busy staring at their phones, watching my wife's world implode. Vanessa tried to walk back into the ballroom, but the conversation stopped when she appeared. 200 pairs of eyes fixed on her like she was a specimen under a microscope. She made it 3 steps before turning around and fleeing toward the exit. I didn't follow her. I didn't need to. Instead, I walked to the bar and ordered another whiskey. Around me, Portland's social elite whispered and pointed and shared the photos that would be all over social media within the hour. By tomorrow morning, everyone in the city would know that Vanessa Cole was a cheating wife who'd been living a lie. "Rough night for your missus," the bartender said, sliding my drink across the marble bar top. "Rough year," I corrected, "but it's about to get better." My phone rang. Vanessa sobbing. "Derek, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, we can fix this?" "No," I said. "We can't. But don't worry. This is just the beginning." I hung up and turned off my phone. Around me, the party continued, but the energy had shifted. Instead of charity and goodwill, the air hummed with gossip and scandal. Perfect. Aiden Price's penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of Portland's most exclusive residential building, a glass and steel monument to wealth that jutted into the sky like a middle finger aimed at the working class. Getting inside required planning, patience, and a friend who knew how to pick locks. "This is breaking and entering," Miles pointed out as we rode the elevator to the 32nd floor. "This is returning stolen property," I corrected, patting the envelope in my jacket pocket. "What stolen property?" "My peace of mind." The elevator opened into a private foyer with marble floors and a single door marked PHA. Miles made quick work of the lock. Apparently, expensive didn't always mean secure, and we stepped into Aiden's world. The penthouse was everything I'd expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Casco Bay, furniture that cost more than my annual salary, and art that probably belonged in a museum. It was the kind of place designed to impress people who were easily impressed by money. "Nice digs," Miles said, whistling softly. "Paid for by idiots like me." I found Aiden's home office on the 2nd floor, all dark wood and leather chairs arranged around a desk the size of a small car. His computer was password protected, but I wasn't interested in his files. I was interested in his psychology. The photos on his desk told a story. Aiden with various women at various clubs, always the center of attention, always the man with the money. A narcissist who collected conquests like trophies. Vanessa was just the latest in a long line of married women who'd mistaken his wallet for genuine affection. I placed the envelope in the center of his desk, propped against his computer monitor where he couldn't miss it. Inside were copies of every receipt, every hotel bill, every credit card charge from Vanessa's affair, along with a simple note, "Send me a bill, Derek Lawson." "That's it?" Miles asked. "We broke into a penthouse to leave him paperwork?" "Psychological warfare. He thinks he's been playing me, but now he knows I've been watching him. Predators hate being prey." We were back in the elevator when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Derek Lawson." "You snake." Aiden's voice was tight with controlled rage. "You were in my home. Prove it. I want to meet. Tonight. I'm sure you do, but I don't take meetings with thieves. I never stole anything from you. You stole my wife. That's theft of services at minimum." The line went quiet for a moment. Then, "The Lighthouse Bar. 1 hour. I'll be there." Miles looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Derek, this guy could be dangerous." "So can I." The lighthouse was the kind of dive bar that existed in every city, dark, cheap, and populated by people who had nowhere else to go. It smelled like cigarettes and disappointment, with a jukebox that only played songs about heartbreak and a bartender who'd seen everything twice. Aiden was waiting in a corner booth, looking as out of place as a diamond in a coal mine. His expensive suit and perfect hair marked him as an outsider, someone who belonged in clubs with velvet ropes and bottle service, not places where beer came in cans and the floor stuck to your shoes. "You look nervous," I said, sliding into the booth across from him. "You look like a man with nothing to lose." "Finally, something we agree on." The waitress brought me a beer without being asked. In places like this, you drank beer or you drank somewhere else. "What do you want?" Aiden asked. "I want you to understand something. Vanessa isn't your girlfriend. She's my wife who's been spending my money to pretend she's available. Every dinner, every hotel room, every gift you've given her, I paid for it. She told me you were separated. She told you what you wanted to hear, just like she told me she was working late, or having girls' nights, or volunteering for charity. We both got played, but only one of us was paying for the privilege." Aiden's jaw tightened. "So, what now? Now you disappear. Stop taking her calls, stop paying for her drinks, stop pretending this was anything more than a transaction. She wanted to feel important, you wanted to feel powerful, and I got stuck with the bill. And if I don't?" I leaned forward. "Then I make your life very complicated. See, I've been doing research on you, Aiden. Your clubs, your business practices, your creative approach to tax law. Amazing what a motivated software engineer can dig up when he puts his mind to it." His face went pale. "You're threatening me." "I'm educating you. There's a difference." I stood up, leaving a 10 on the table. "Oh, and Aiden, next time you want to steal someone's wife, make sure you can afford her. Vanessa's expensive, and charity cases don't last long in her world." I was almost to the door when he called out, "This isn't over." I turned back, smiled, and said the words that would haunt him. "Yes, it is." 3 weeks later, Vanessa's world had shrunk to the size of our living room. The charity circuit had frozen her out after the gala incident. Her friends had scattered like roaches when the lights came on. Even Lila had unfriended her on social media, posting a passive-aggressive story about toxic people and fake friendships. Aiden had vanished completely. No calls, no texts, no mysterious charges on credit cards that no longer worked anyway. He'd moved on to easier prey, leaving my wife to face the consequences of her choices alone. She sat on our couch in sweatpants and a ratty t-shirt, scrolling through her phone with the desperate intensity of someone looking for signs of life in a graveyard. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup smeared, and for the first time in years, she looked her age. "Derek," she said without looking up. "We need to talk." "I'm listening." "I know you're angry. I know I hurt you. But this has gone too far." I poured myself a coffee, noting that we were down to the cheap stuff. Amazing how quickly luxury became necessity, became memory when the money stopped flowing. "Has it? People are calling me names, horrible names. They're saying I'm a gold digger, a whore, a cheating wife who spent her husband's money on her boyfriend?" She flinched. "I made mistakes, but I never meant for it to go this far." "Which part? The affair or getting caught?" "Both. Neither. I don't know." She finally looked at me, and I was surprised to see real tears. "I just wanted to feel special, important, like I mattered. You did matter, to me." "No, I didn't. You worked all the time. You never wanted to go out. I never what? Never paid for your shopping sprees. Never covered your credit card bills. Never pretended not to notice when you came home at 3 a.m. smelling like another man's cologne." She opened her mouth, then closed it. "I gave you everything, Vanessa. Everything except permission to humiliate me, and you took that anyway." "So what happens now?" I sat down across from her, close enough to see the fear in her eyes. "Now you disappear." "What?" "Pack your things. Find somewhere else to live. Start over somewhere that doesn't know your story." "Derek, this is my home too." "No, it's not. It's my home that you've been visiting between affairs, but the visits are over." She stood up, pacing to the window. "You can't just throw me out. I have rights." "You have the right to leave voluntarily or the right to be evicted. Your choice." "I'll fight you. I'll take half of everything in the divorce." "Half of what? The house that's mortgaged to the ceiling? The cars that are financed? The credit cards that are maxed out?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You already spent your half, Vanessa. You spent it on hotel rooms and restaurant tabs and impressing people who never cared about you." She turned from the window, her face twisted with rage. "You think you're so smart. You think you've won. But you're just a bitter, pathetic man who couldn't keep his wife happy." "You're right. I couldn't keep you happy. Because you're the kind of person who mistakes expensive for valuable, who confuses attention with affection, who thinks happiness is something you can buy with someone else's credit card. Screw you, Derek. No thank you. I've seen where you've been. She grabbed a vase from the coffee table, crystal, probably cost $300, and hurled it at my head. I ducked, and it shattered against the wall behind me. Feel better? I asked. I hate you. I know. But here's the thing, Vanessa. I don't care. I used to care what you thought, what you felt, what you wanted. I built my whole life around making you happy, and all it got me was debt and betrayal. So hate me all you want. Hate me from somewhere else. She started to cry then, real sobs that shook her whole body. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Call Aiden. He won't take my calls. Call Lila. She blocked me. Then I guess you'll figure it out. You're resourceful when you need to be. She wiped her nose with the back of her hand. What about my things? Pack what you can carry. The rest stays here until the house sells. And then? And then we're even. No alimony, no support, no contact. You get your freedom, I get my life back. She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her calculating, trying to find an angle, a way to turn this to her advantage. But there wasn't one. I'd made sure of that. I need time to find a place. You have until tomorrow. That's not enough time. It's more time than you gave our marriage. She went upstairs to pack, her footsteps heavy on the hardwood floors. I sat in my living room, surrounded by the debris of our life together, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. My phone buzzed, a text from Miles. How you holding up? Better than expected, I typed back. Want company? No, I want to sit here and enjoy the silence. And I did. For the first time in 3 years, my house was quiet. No drama, no demands, no lies. Just silence and the sound of rain against the windows. Vanessa came downstairs an hour later with 2 suitcases and a face full of makeup that couldn't quite hide the redness around her eyes. Derek, don't. I just wanted to say, don't. Whatever you're about to say, don't. We're past apologies and explanations. Just go. She stood in the doorway for a moment, looking back at the house she'd treated like a hotel, the husband she'd treated like an ATM. Then she walked out into the rain and closed the door behind her. I watched through the window as she loaded her suitcases into her car, the car I'd been making payments on, though not anymore. She sat behind the wheel for several minutes, probably making phone calls, trying to find someone who'd take her in. Finally, she started the engine and drove away. I never saw her again. 6 months later, I ran into Lila at the grocery store. She looked embarrassed when she saw me, like she'd been caught doing something shameful. Derek, hi, how are you? I'm well. You? Good. I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry. I'm not. She shifted uncomfortably. Have you heard from Vanessa? No. Have you? She moved to Boston. She's working at some event planning company, I think. She seems different. Different how? Quieter, more careful, like she learned something. Good for her. Lila studied my face, looking for signs of bitterness or regret. She didn't find any. You seem happy, she said, surprised. I am. That's good. You deserve to be happy. I thanked her and continued shopping. At the checkout, I paid with cash. No credit cards, no debt, no financial obligations to anyone but myself. It was a small thing, but it felt like freedom. That night, I sat in my living room with a beer and a book, enjoying the silence. My phone didn't ring. No one demanded money or attention or lies. No one needed me to be anything other than what I was. For the first time in years, that was enough.